Today's video is part 4 of my interview with elite Power of Zero advisor and certified financial planner Mark Byelich from Attleboro Wealth Management, where I discuss why you should avoid taking retirement advice from financial gurus like Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, Clark Howard, and others. So sit back, relax, and enjoy part 4 of my interview with elite Power of Zero advisor Mark Byelich.
You talked about financial gurus and why you don't like financial gurus as a whole.
Yeah, that may be the topic of my next book. Yeah. Let's talk specifically about, there's 3 people I typically talk about: Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman. There's a new guy named Ramit Sethi who just did a Netflix series called called How to Get Rich, based on a book that he wrote back in 2009 called I Will Make You Rich. Something like that. I will help you to get rich, or something like that. Anyway, what you find with Dave Ramsey is they got a lot of good stuff, particularly for a broad swath of the country that spends more than they take in. So if you're making 50 and you're spending 60, Dave Ramsey's your guy. Total Money Makeover, great book. Susie Orman's got some great stuff for getting out of debt. Ramit Sethi dedicated a couple episodes in his Netflix series to people that are drowning in debt. Great ideas. Ramit Sethi's got some great ideas on spending money on the types of things that are meaningful to you in life. So, for example, he drives a Honda Accord, but he always flies first class. So he spends the money on the types of things that make him happy, which I think is great. I think it's good advice. However, part of what you see, for example, with Dave Ramsey is Dave Ramsey wants to be all things, all people. And so what he tends to do is he tends to give these really general one-size-fits-all prescriptions, okay? And he paints everything with a really broad brush. So, for example, Dave Ramsey, because he's got this huge audience, he doesn't have the luxury of nuance. He doesn't have the luxury of saying, well, it depends on your situation. So he tends to make these broad sweeping generalizations. For example, when it comes to annuities, which academia has been studying for years, there's mountains of evidence that show that annuities, the right types of annuities, can extend the life of all your other investments. Life insurance retirement plan, there's reams of data. There's a recent Ernst & Young study that talks about how life insurance can, particularly when used as a volatility buffer, can help increase your sustainable distribution rate in retirement if you take money out of your life insurance in the year following a down year in the market. So there's a lot of really compelling studies that academics have done on these types of things that Dave simply doesn't acknowledge. And so because he's got the one size fits all prescription and he paints everything with a really broad brush, he doesn't have the luxury of nuance. And so he has to take a black and white position on it. And when he takes that black and white position on it, you no longer have the ability to have a tailored, customized financial plan. So the people that are studying Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman or Ramit Sethi, they all have the same sort of issues. You have to try to cull from their advice the things that fit your specific financial situation. And it's nearly impossible, if you have substantial wealth, to try to make heads or tails of what they're telling you. And so what you really need is you need a CFP. You need someone who has been down this road before, that understands how to look at your specific situation and give you advice on how to wring the most efficiency out of your retirement dollars. And part of the issue is that Dave Ramsey started off as a guy that helps people get out of debt. But he slowly branched out into all of these other areas and takes positions on black and white positions on things that have nuance. And I think a lot of people are the worse off for it.
Yeah. I know a person who is a Dave Ramsey disciple, and he repeats they're almost like mantras that they have about life insurance and leases. And he went on and on about car leases. Now I buy my cars. Jessica, our office manager, she's been with me now 15 years. She's had at least 5 cars in that time, right? She likes a new car every year. If she was buying a car, or every 3 years or so, and actually, it's usually shorter than that now because they entice you to come back. But if she was buying a new car, she would have lost money on that, right? So that works better for her, and it doesn't work for me. And there's a lot of reasons that I have for that, but that's just one example. But my goodness gracious!
So another example, just briefly, somebody called in to a show and said, "Hey, look, I got all this extra money in my savings account. What should I do with it?" He said, "Well, tell me about your house mortgage." He's like, "Well, I owe $100,000 on it." He said, "Well, pay off your house." Well, so mathematically speaking, that doesn't make sense. If you have a house at 3% and it's tax deductible, it's really costing you 2%, right? Mm-hmm. So 2%, that's pretty cheap money. Mm-hmm. So if you take money that you could have otherwise invested at 8% over time, and you use it to pay off a debt that's only costing you 2%, there's a 6% arbitrage, which if you amortize that out over the balance of your life, it's going to cost you hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, what was Dave Ramsey's justification? He says, we've studied all the rich people, and rich people pay their houses off. Yeah. Well, rich people pay the houses off because they have the luxury of paying their houses off. Right. When we're talking about people that have fewer assets, where picking the right strategy really makes a difference over a long period of time, that's not the right move.
Yeah, and it's also not true.
Right.
There are many, many wealthy people who understand the difference between paying a 2.5% mortgage and getting 4.5% in a 3-month treasury bill right now. Right. So you do have to take into account that risk-free rate of return when you're looking at those things, or being comfortable with that arbitrage, that difference between the 2% and the 8% that Dave was talking about over time. Mm-hmm. But my goodness, that person could have been 25 years in a 30-year mortgage, and the interest is like minuscule. Who the heck knows?
But why does he take this position? He has to take the position because he has to have a formula that people can apply to their situations. And if he says, well, it depends on your situation, now all of a sudden he's not in a position to advise them. Yeah, he has to have a one-size-fits-all strategy. Or if you invite nuance into the picture, people are going to be like, oh, I guess I need a financial advisor. Yeah. I can't rely on Dave Ramsey anymore. Okay, folks, that was the end of part 4 of my interview with Elite Power Zero advisor Mark Byelich. If you want to learn more about how to shield your retirement savings from dramatically higher taxes, be sure to check out my tax-free toolkit. You can download it for free at taxfreetoolkit.com. If you're a financial professional and want to learn how to become a certified Power Zero advisor, head over to powerzero.com and opt into my free 3-part video series. By the way, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them into the comment section below. I respond to every single one of them personally. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss a video. This is David McKnight. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.